What's up, guys? You with FC Wonderkid, episode 62. Here with my guy, Bretson. How are you?
Oh, I am doing very, very well here. I've gotten a little more sleep over the last week, and now this transfer window has just decided to really pick up and get humming, man. We have a lot to talk about. I have a feeling we are going to be bouncing all over the place. So what do you say? Should we get started? You feeling good?
Yes, I'm feeling really good. And people, please do not forget to like this video so we can keep on going bold, and follow the podcast on Spotify, FC Wonderkid, so we can keep on going bold in those charts. And I gotta say, I agree. It's been picking up transfers all of a sudden. And yeah, I assume we gotta talk about the big boy Cristiano Ronaldo. That what's up? We all knew this man has a need to play in the Champions League. But come on, United need to admit that he wants to go. They need to admit that he wants to go. So the United's position, that's my biggest doubt right now. So people, context, David Hornstein has revealed and the Times that Ronaldo asked to leave Man United if the right offer landed at the club. So
Yeah, for a man that is the most followed human being on the planet when it comes to social media, you'd think he didn't need more attention when it came down to this. I know, that was a cheap shot. Hey, listen, nothing against Cristiano Ronaldo whatsoever. I get it. He's disappointed. I mean, there's been rumblings about this for like the last month or so.
How long,
right?
Frankie?
It's just really come out with a whole lot of fervor over the last week. But there's been rumblings, and understandably there's been rumblings, because how many months has Manchester United had to lay out a transfer plan that would complement Ronaldo, that would complement Bruno, that would complement the pieces that they knew they were going to be holding on to from the get-go? And then the first one that's probably going to get across the finish line, nothing against Tyrell Malaysia. He's a phenomenal player. He's been on Ten Hag's radar for years. Years, okay? So the fact that that's the first signing might be a first building block, but ultimately that doesn't necessarily go to Ronaldo's head and say, hey, this is a team that has ultimate ambition to go from wherever they were in the table last year to top 1, top 2, top 3, fighting for Champions League football, right? And I get why Ronaldo feels that way, but ultimately I just have to say this, and I'll put it out there, okay? They need to move on from Ronaldo, and I agree. They need to let it into their head the reality that Ronaldo possibly needs to go. He needs to go sooner rather than later to wherever he wants to go, wherever he's happy, so that Manchester United can move on. They need a uniform platform, and they need everybody on the same page in order to move forward. And if Ronaldo moves on, there needs to be an acceptance that they might not get Champions League football this year, that this will be, let's get into Europe and let's fight tooth and nail as hard as we can with what we've got, and let Ten Hag, it's weird saying this, but let Ten Hag rebuild the squad.
That's what needs to happen. It has to happen. And let's be honest too, Ronaldo leaving is a trouble for United. It is a major problem right now. And I literally feel Ronaldo does this because he sees that there's no hope for next season. Whatever transfer can come, like the investment needs to happen inside the pitch and outside the pitch in Man United. And for me, it's sad to see that this didn't work out for Ronaldo, this journey coming back to United. And for Ronaldo, he must be emotionally, this must hit hard, because Juventus, like we all know how that ended, and Man United was seen as a new hope for Cristiano Ronaldo. And seeing what happened, like how unorganized the club is, I feel for Ronaldo. I really feel. But my prediction with this Ronaldo transfer chat is Cristiano Ronaldo, when he leaves Man United this summer, I believe he will go to a club with elite organization. Okay? I don't know which is the club, but one thing's for sure. Big wages, and they need to have a need of having him in Champions League football. So I really think Bayern Munich I know,
Okay, here it is.
I know. Like they said no one week ago to Ronaldo, but they can
Yeah.
have that chat again. It's all about the money, the contracts.
Sure.
How long will Ronaldo stay? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? If Bayern wouldn't say no, in my opinion, for 1 year contract with Cristiano Ronaldo, it would be elite. And Bayern Munich with Ronaldo, Sadio Mane, they literally would have a chance to win the Champions League next season immediately with the departure of Lewandowski with Ronaldo. In my opinion. My opinion. And then he could go to Sporting. Leave them out.
then he goes to Major League Soccer.
Come on. Yeah, I do believe in that. We talked about that. That is something that needs to be taken in account. The money of Messi and Ronaldo in the MLS.
Yeah, I mean it's a drop in the bucket in MLS. Aside, when it comes to the designated player rule, but you also have to think of the time frame. Just imagine Ronaldo going to Major League Soccer, maybe a little earlier than he would like, but going to Major League Soccer 3.5 years before the World Cup. Okay, with all the fervor leading up to it, with all the excitement leading up to it. I know there's going to be people in the comments talking about, can Ronaldo actually go to the United States, and I believe he can. He can. Crazy stuff. Dropped. Yeah, he can. So, that I know is going to wind up in the comment section. We're not dealing with that legal stuff.
He can, people.
But what we know, my take here is that the guy just needs to get moving. He needs to decide. None of this, I don't know if this is kind of a bluff to maybe make them act, or if this is a bluff from his agent to make them act. But, you're right. If he's going somewhere, I know people are throwing out there like Napoli, and they're throwing out Chelsea.
Milan faster than Napoli.
Yeah, right. Milan too, right? Milan maybe, but they've really only just gotten their stuff together, if you will.
True.
So Napoli, absolutely not. I don't think that that's a good fit for him, even if it's for a year. I think Bayern is likely. And the issue there is that Bayern likely would have to get rid of Lewandowski. And then you've got Joan Laporta basically saying, hey, it's really nice. We love that Lewandowski wants to come here. This is awesome. We get it. I don't think he used the word awesome, but we get it. But ultimately the money's not necessarily there. We have to see some people leave before they go, and they can't even get Frankie across the finish line just yet. But hey, transfer window just started, and man, oh man, is it heating up to the point where I'm already dizzy. And Cristiano Ronaldo, this is not going away. This has to be dealt with. And I think it would be nice to hear from the man himself, but that's not how it works.
But would you rather, for Barca, I think the Lewandowski deal is inevitable this summer. Okay, it's all about, as we said, numbers, but about that, how much isn't worth it? For Lewandowski. 60 million for 1 year contract. Lewandowski at Bayern. I do believe he's one of the best players in the world. But come on, that is a lot of money. If you see Man City getting Julian Alvarez for 24 million, you know what I'm saying? And that's a long-term deal for the future of the club in the present. You compare with Lewandowski being, I know, more immediate, better player, but still 60 million, 1 year contract left. Is a lot to ask, okay? It's too much in my opinion. And leaving on the Ronaldo too, United have to get a striker replacement, okay, for Ronaldo. And seeing Richarlison going to Tottenham, for me, Tottenham was fully anticipating what happened at United. And they know Richarlison to Man United was something United was trying to make it happen. Clearly, in my opinion, after the Ronaldo departure. So, do you have any name to replace Ronaldo at United? Because I'll say this name. I see they got the money. They want a youth. You said Man United rebuild. Ronaldo leaving. João Felix come in. Felix come in. Agent Jorge Mendes, he knows what's up. And I'll be honest with you, I think Ten Hag would love João Felix, okay? I think that would work out well. But they still need, I don't know. What are your thoughts on a replacement?
I mean, here's what it comes down to. The only names that have been circulating around Ten Hag are names that he has been tied to in the past. And they're names he's either coached at Ajax, or they're basically Eredivisie names So you might as well bring in Luke De Jong. No, just kidding. No, what I'm looking at though right now is the fact that if United's scouting department doesn't already have a short list for if Ronaldo goes, right, then they are not doing their job in supporting Ten Hag. Because I don't think Ten Hag's shortlist is as long as it's pretty clear his shortlist is not exactly massively long. And we did say, remember, we said months ago, one of the scarier things is going to be going from not really having a budget or having to deal with whatever comes in to then go out to buy players that will then have to toil and fight in the Eredivisie, right? Not so much the Premier League, but now he's dealing with a transfer, kitty, whatever you want to call it, that is much, much bigger than he's used to. Much bigger than he's used to. You can fight the Glazers all you want, right? Yeah. But ultimately, the Glazers are going to support. They are going to put money into this team. But they've been snake bitten. They've been snake bitten. So I don't have a great name. João Felix is interesting, but I feel like they need somebody that has a little more aerial presence up top. So looking at a Gerard Moreno again, we bring him up all the time. Yeah. That might not necessarily be. He might not be cut rate per se, and he might not be cheap per se, but he'd be a whole lot cheper than João Felix.
Yeah, but for Man United, they would put that United tax with Gerard Moreno up. But what I like about that show is, like, Gerard is in the same club as Pau Torres, and we all know negotiations should happen at least for that center back position, Pau Torres and Man United. That for me, that would be a signing that would make sense. And just on Malacia fast, people, I was absolutely shocked that Man United went for Malacia. And I got to say, I was criticizing that the Frankie de Jong was a big deal. Now, if it's Malacia and Frankie de Jong, both coming at a rate of like 80 million first two transfers, I think that is a right beginning now. That is if it was just Frankie, there was a ton of pressure, like I mentioned in the past. But now, Malacia, that for great left back, okay, at Feyenoord, impressive. I love the fact that he's Dutch too. Erik ten Hag knows him extremely well. I'm sure at Ajax he was hoping to get Malacia at Feyenoord. So, and I like the tactic too that United bid after there was already a bid for Malacia. So they knew the price of the player. There was no negotiation. They knew. That's what United, I think, have to do. They have to bid after knowing the price, because the United tax, it needs to go. United, and with a rebuild with Ten Hag, that's the way it should happen. So, I agree with a lot we said. So put down below, people, what do you think Man United should do this transfer window? And can they get to the top four? Considering
hey, listen, if the Glazers were smart, okay, and this is a little off the cuff and maybe a little oddly tinted here.
Bold.
But if the Glazers were smart, there you go, bold. If they were smart, they would actually be maybe using this as a galvanizing process for United, bringing the club together, not necessarily by painting Ronaldo as, say, the ungrateful or the enemy in some respect, but ultimately a way to say, like, listen, one person is not the club. We thought this would work out. They should literally say, this did not work out. And we are going to find the best home, the best place for Ronaldo to go. But beyond here, we need to make sure we stick to an identity that we find an identity first and we go for it. Now, if Tyrell Malacia is your first signing and you're getting rid of Dean Henderson on loan, right?
Yes.
And you're getting rid of, but you're not getting rid of all the other players that have essentially been deemed surplus to requirements.
Come on.
Then something needs to be done before you can really bring this United club together. So really, it's back to the fact that you're watching Pogba leave again, right? Head to Juventus. Okay, one of the worst signings of all time. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's the worst Premier League signing. I don't know. I mean, I almost have a question for you, right? And this is a little off topic, but I might as well bring it up now. If you had to rank this out of, say, the Lukaku to Chelsea, okay, and then, just left Chelsea, and we'll
Yeah,
talk
no,
about that.
embarrassing, definitely.
Pogba to United
Mhm.
and back out. Which optically, obviously, Lukaku's worse.
I think Lukaku's worse because Pogba did have memories at Man United, and that's the sad thing. There were just glimpses of greatness that everybody was like, Pogba, that is unbelievable what had just happened. Like the comeback that Man United have with with that painted hair of Pogba, man. That was unbelievable. That moment. I really thought Pogba was gonna have an amazing legacy coming back from United after that day. But ever since then, it just hasn't worked out. And Mourinho, Jose Mourinho. I often get criticized, Portuguese bias this, Portuguese bias that. But Jose Mourinho warned the world. He even said Marcus Rashford isn't a striker. He even said that. And now they still doubt him. Man. I cannot believe it, man. Well, he called it.
Yeah, I mean, he did. And here's my take. Here's my take on why Lukaku is actually not a worse transfer than Pogba. I think Pogba is the worst transfer. Why? Because of what you just said. What you just said. The hope. Exactly. It's the hope that kills you. Lukaku within 11 months and the whole childhood club BS, the whole, I'm going to go to the Premier League and finally make it. He's done well in the Premier League, but guess what? He's done well in the Premier League with West Brom and Everton, but nobody else for the most part. But Lukaku essentially,
and with
that second trial in the Premier League, right? Or not second trial, but second trial with Chelsea was done in 11 months. It's gone. He's out of here. He made he made whatever, 115 million down the drain, of which they get 8.8 back or whatever it is, in the form of a nice little loan fee. Okay. But Pogba was like 4 years of stop and start, stop and start. Give him a glimpse, give him enough to make all the United supporters be like, world-class Pogba is back. And then ultimately he leaves for free. Okay. So call it terrible business acumen, call it terrible player personnel, call it the round table or the revolving door that is the Manchester United top job. But in the end, I feel like the Paul Pogba deal was beyond worse than Lukaku. Now, we can bring Danny Drinkwater into the mix, and we can probably all agree that was worse. Or in Hazard to Real Madrid, Chelsea.
Man, Chelsea does these weird deals, right? Like Lukaku, you just mentioned Drinkwater. Oh my days. It's true. But Lukaku, it was 90 million. 90 million that Chelsea have to just say, okay, it just didn't work out. And for Todd Boehly, that must be insane for him to see. Because let's be honest, it's all about numbers, and he is the owner of the LA Dodgers. He must be like, we invested 100 million and we got nothing back. Like, literally nothing. Oh my gosh. But like we mentioned Ronaldo, like there is talk. I do believe Chelsea will sign a big forward. I don't know who. It can be from Dembele to Ronaldo. That is the option, because sporting director Todd Boehly can pick Neymar, Dembele, Ronaldo. Just go bold with the contracts. We don't know what can happen. No. So this transfer,
you've got Chelsea needing a striker, and you've got Manchester United needing a striker. So there is going to be
Bayern, but between the two. So like for Juve locking up Vlahovic earlier, that was like the deal to do. Okay, it just makes a ton more sense now looking back. Not how fast, but how much they paid and how fast they did it. Because it was pretty fast. When they wanted, they got it. So yes. So talking. Sorry.
You mentioned, and I think you were about to say, and I agree with you. Put down below. I mean, who are the strikers that even fit the bill for each of these? Who's the perfect striker? I want to know. Who's the perfect striker for Barcelona? Who's the perfect striker for Bayern if Lewandowski leaves? Who's the perfect striker for Chelsea? And who's the perfect striker for Manchester United? And oh my goodness, because you are absolutely right. Spurs, okay?
Yes.
Spurs went, and Antonio Conte basically went in and they said, you know what? offense is the best defense here.
Well,
we're going to go out there and we are going to get Richarlison. I don't know if you see him as Harry Kane's backup. I mean, let's be honest. There's enough fixtures. There's enough fixtures. I don't know how you're going to fit all four of these guys: Dejan, Son, Kane, and Richarlison all on the same pitch at the same time. But maybe Antonio Conte can figure that out.
He will.
But to get Richarlison for this amount, to take advantage of, unfortunately, Everton's financial ills as it stands right now, 58 million is still a pretty nice penny for a 25-year-old, Brazilian striker / winger.
With experience
but ultimately, with experience in the Prem, has done it when they've had their backs to the wall, has done it when Everton was flying high. And you know what I love about this is Richarlison does have that bite. He has that chip on his shoulder that I do think Spurs needs, because sometimes Harry Kane is like, it's like, I just watched the polo match and now I'm going to go here and I'm going to score a couple goals. And Son is just like this nice dude, right? Or at least there's that identity that he's a nice dude. They need that razor sharp bite. And who did they just get? Basuma. And they got Richarlison, and they got Kuti in the back. And if you need a bite, that is a bite. That middle is a bite. And I think Spurs, I'm getting ready to jump on your train of Spurs could fight their way to an actual piece to silverware this year. I don't know how, I don't know where, but
well, Spurs can end up ahead of Chelsea if everything goes right. And I gotta say, Conte, one thing's for sure, we know Conte on defense will have that sorted, okay? Ever since the start, he's been working a ton. And I gotta say, Perisic will be dictating on the wing where people should be. I know this match for sure will be crucial. And now on Richarlison, I have to go bold for this one because Tottenham went bold, okay? And what I have to say on Richarlison first is Richarlison has something to prove. And he was the man at Everton, but not anymore at Tottenham. And he's got a chip that you mentioned with Son and Kane. He's got to overshadow two world-class players. And Richarlison, knowing him, he will be willing to go and face that challenge, okay? He is very bravo, as the Brazilians say. He loves banter. He's a very confident kid. And I feel like he himself more wanted the move. It wasn't like, I think he was done with the relegation battles, okay? He gave a chance to Everton. I really believe Richarlison gave a chance to Everton, but it just didn't work out. So now seeing him with the right manager for me, with Conte, I got it. And just with Everton, because I know we might not talk Everton, I want to see if they keep Anthony Gordon. I want to see if they keep him, because the top six will be all on top of Anthony Gordon, considering that Everton are in a fragile situation financially. Lampard, man, keep your boy. It won't be easy. Yeah. But Chelsea Academy, you'll see a bunch of players from Chelsea Academy going to Everton.
Yeah, probably. Levi Colwill report to. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I mean, that actually could happen. But they need depends. I like seeing him. He's in the preseason with Chelsea. I'm excited to see what Levi Colwill can do. But hey, Richarlison, you said something in there that I picked out, and I definitely wanted to highlight a little more because it illustrates the chip he's got on his shoulder. He loves the banter, right? And some people can perceive it as being a little dirty, or they can perceive it as being a little whatever, but ultimately Richarlison is that guy you really don't want to play against. You really don't want to play against. Exactly. And ultimately Richarlison has already been poking the bear. Okay, he's already putting in his Instagram story. He's already been putting in there him standing up to Hector Bellerin in an Arsenal shirt. What? Just stoking that flame, just getting it started, getting it ready for that Tottenham Arsenal rivalry. And I kind of love it. You have to respect it. He wasn't even a Tottenham player for more than 30 minutes, and he put it up in his story. So good on Richarlison. And to be honest, hey, I think this is a guy that gave, I believe this is a guy that gave Everton everything he could. Exactly. And I think even though Everton feels like they're getting, fans feel like they're getting punched in the face while they're down. I do believe that most people, when they think about Richarlison, knows that he's ambitious, knows that he
Exactly.
looks at this, unfortunately, through a realistic lens and says it's going to be a while before Everton can come back to top half of the table, relevancy.
It's true.
And ultimately, I'm 25, I'm only getting older, and I feel like I need to go literally provide myself with that internal competition that's needed to make me extra world class, especially heading into
the World Cup. Exactly.
The World Cup, where Brazil absolutely is got to be considered one of the favorites. So,
and I gotta say this too, like for Richarlison, he sees like names popping up everywhere now. Like Anthony at Ajax, all of a sudden he's a player that's talked. Raphinha at Leeds, he's talked more than him, I'd say, in the past month. Now, so it's like Richarlison must be, I need to be in the spotlight, and the best way to be in the spotlight is at a top club. And I really believe that what convinced Richarlison too was Conte. Conte for me was a huge factor for him. And I gotta say this too, man. You hinted that. So with what I'm saying, who would you think's a better transfer? So Gabriel Jesus to Arsenal or Richarlison to Tottenham? Both came for a similar fee.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that
I'll
on
go
paper,
Richarlison. I'll go Richarlison.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to agree with you because on paper, Gabriel Jesus looks like the perfect fit for Arsenal. But at the same time, we've thought that about other transfers in the past, right? Ever since the Invincible days, right? The transfers that have come in afterwards to try and sustain their legacy, try and keep Arsenal at the top of the table. They just kind of haven't panned out the way that they wanted. And also how quickly some of their relationships have 180, right? The Aubameyang situation and all that fun stuff. I until I see it, I don't know. For Richarlison,
Nketiah, all of a sudden,
I mean,
go.
He had
contract
extension. He had both feet out the door. I thought he had both feet out the door. It's the same with Balogun. It's like at some point you gotta. What's this? The saying here is a little. It's you gotta
sort things out, I'd say.
Yeah, sort things out. There you go.
You gotta sort things out. Yeah, it's.
If anyone can guess what phrase I was going to use, but it is like blank or get off the pot, and that's what Arsenal needs to do. And there's no doubt they're trending in the right direction. That Arteta does have a plan. That they're trying to get their men. But like Gabriel Jesus, I thought was already done and dusted, and now it's a hurry up and wait situation, and he hasn't been announced yet. But I believe he's already had his intro photos and all that fun stuff. So it's coming.
On Twitter, everybody was like, he's the number 9. There's a video of him already. So, like, we already seen on Twitter the Arsenal announcement, let's say, per se, not the official one. But, yeah, Gabriel Jesus, I feel, I don't know what Arsenal fans feel about it, but I do think they should have just a little concern. A little concern. Not 100% that it'll go well, but with Richarlison, I can say I really believe that will go well much faster than Jesus because it's just a different position. But there's one strong thing you can lean on. Arteta knows Gabriel Jesus. So if Gabriel Jesus goes bold, I think it's with Arteta more likely at a team that he will get minutes and be the focus in attack, because Arsenal can be a bit bland last season, okay, in the attacking force. They needed someone just to snatch a goal occasionally, okay, to be the attacking threat, and they had no one in the middle in the last season. So getting Gabriel Jesus just being there in the middle, being a threat, is better than last season. But is it enough for the Champions League?
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
that's the doubt.
I don't know. Saka another year older. Odegaard another year older and wiser in the Premier League. I honestly believe that there's no doubt Arsenal will be in the top 6. It's just a matter of
I believe to. I believe to.
I do believe that they will be top 6, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to shave my head if they aren't. But ultimately, no, I do believe. And you're bringing it up like Gabriel Jesus. Obviously, there is previous knowledge of his skill set, and man, he scores, he assists in a Manchester City setup. How that's going to translate to an Arsenal setup that is influenced by a Manchester City setup remains to be seen. But it ticks all the same boxes. You've got Premier League history. You've got a guy that's been in pressure situations. You've also got a guy that can destroy weaker teams when you play him to make sure you win the games that you need to win while you can rest other players. Gabriel Jesus ticks all those boxes. Richarlison ticks a good amount of those boxes as well for Tottenham. So I don't know. I like it. I'd love to know what our our listeners
Yes,
think? You know,
put down
who's the
below.
better signing?
Who do you prefer? People down below, Richarlison or Gabriel Jesus? We'll answer every single comment down below, so you go bold and tell us. But we can put another Brazilian here and do a start bench sell if needed. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
Because
okay.
I said Raphinha is the most talked name of the transfers, and there's a reason why, okay? If you can snatch up Raphinha for 50, 60 million, considering what he has done last season, every single club's gonna go extremely bold. So I believe, like, for Arsenal, it's a huge blow. Not getting Gabriel Jesus and Raphinha at the same time. Okay, for me, because it's more of an acceptance of this. Okay, he's like a striker, like winger striker, but we still got Raphinha. We still got Raphinha to assure, but that's not happening as it seems. So Deku, he's on a field trip, man. To Barca, to London, Barca, London. Deku's Raphinha's agent. Barca, London, but nothing's decided still. Nothing's decided. But one thing we know, Raphinha wants Barca. Raphinha wants
and that's
Barca.
the thing is that,
and he should.
You know, the Barca clout is, even if you can call it Spotify Barcelona, you can call it whatever the hell you want to call it, because they're, you know, siphoning off and auctioning off pieces of their future.
It's true.
In order to remain relevant now, which I don't agree with from a business perspective, but then again, nobody's asking me my opinion. But when it comes down to it, like, I feel like Laporta has this scepter that just I don't know, hypnotizes some of these players. Lewandowski wants nowhere but Barca. Raphinha wants nowhere but Barca. And Raphinha is even willing to stay at Leeds for another 6 months until they essentially figure out their finances, get it done, get it in situation, and get to where he needs to go, but get there on a healthy ground.
That's embarrassing.
It kind of is.
Because they're willing to give everything for him. Like, literally, like, they'd say, what do you need, Raphinha? What do you need? You'll be the guy this summer for Arsenal. And he's like, no, I want to go to Barca.
Either that or Leeds offered Pepe in the opposite. I'm sorry, Arsenal offered Pepe in the opposite direction, and Leeds said absolutely not.
Hey, Nicolas Pepe, man, that's a player too, man, that he's got to be offloaded. And I forgot to say, Alex Telles at United with Malacia coming in. I'm like thinking, Luke Shaw, Alex Telles, Malacia, too many left backs. But yes, that'd be interesting. But Barca just need to use their academy too. We all lean on that. And a player like Nico Gonzalez, man, he's got a market. He's got a market. And if they get Pablo Torre, like, long run, I don't know. I hope they play Nico, but there must be a player or two that won't be used, and they can get 20, 30 million, just like they got with Trincão. No, they got for Trincão. So, but that's...
Yeah, I mean, hell, they even got, like, for Ferran Jutla. I don't know how to say his last name.
Good player. Very good player.
Yeah. He's off to the running for Club Brugge in their preseason. Has already scored a bunch of goals, but they got 8 million for a guy that barely even played for the first team, which I know is a drop in the bucket, right? But ultimately, you know, there's a market for Barcelona-bred players. I mean, you see Abel Ruiz playing okay for Braga. You see, you know, some of these players that can go on to work their way back up to the level of Barcelona over time, or maybe they don't. Maybe they just wind up, you know, terrorizing the Primera Liga. But ultimately,
there's a name that you mentioned with Primera Liga, Abel Ruiz. But there's another name. I feel that he can come to Barca. It's Grimaldo.
Yeah.
Grimaldo at Benfica.
Sure.
Grimaldo at Benfica is ready to go to Barca for, I'd say, 10, 15 million. It's a deal that can happen, and he has La Masia experience. So I know there's a bunch of talk about his transfer here in Portugal. He's not happy at Benfica, so that's a player I just want to shout out fast. As you were mentioning.
Well, while all this was happening, while all this craziness, which is still ongoing, whether it's Ronaldo or it's who Chelsea brings in, whatever, Liverpool finally got their man.
Yes, right? Well, guaranteed the future of him. That's fact.
Yeah, and on Twitter, I believe they even trolled absolutely everybody by putting a couple emojis or whatever it was, you know, up there that made everybody think like, uh-oh, what's happening? What is happening? And then, of course, they announced Salah. They announced the deal. It's done. It makes him one of the top paid players out there in the Premier League. very well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, you've got people landing on both sides of the coin.
What?
People saying should have gotten. I mean, you've got guys like Gary Neville that are basically saying that
Yeah.
Liverpool's been played. They're biased.
What?
Obviously, Neville is
Completely
biased.
biased. Come on.
We're completely biased when United has their own problems. And then you've got people saying it's the best deal ever. I mean, in some respects, I get the whole, for one player, you've mortgaged the financial future of Liverpool. But
A player,
no.
Well, it's a player that maintains his physique. It's a player that's very focused on his career. And it's a player, Mo Salah, that, let's be honest, he wants to become the greatest African player ever in the Premier League. It's like, would you say to Chelsea fans, would you have stayed with Drogba? Would you have stayed with Drogba? Because if you haven't, you mightn't have won a Champions League with Drogba in the late stages. So, like, it's a big boy player. And I understand that the FSG have their salary cap that's been working. Okay, it's if it works, don't change. It's true, but still, Mo Salah isn't the usual type of player. And if there's a player to break that wage bill at the club, it right now is Mo Salah. Because if someone's gonna win a Ballon d'Or at Liverpool, it is Mo Salah. Okay, we've seen the best season ever of Virgil van Dijk 2 seasons ago, and that wasn't enough. Not passed by one player in the world. Okay, so for me, Mo Salah is that attacking threat, and the fact that Mane didn't stay and Salah does, I feel for Klopp it gives a lot of assurities because Darwin's new. Fabio Carvalho is going to be a big piece. I feel Will is new. Jota is not new, but Jota will have a lot to prove. Firmino might leave too. So he needs a player that knows that experience of forwards. And Salah does just that. And Salah has a lot of demons to fight. And Real Madrid is a team that I feel like Real Liverpool, we will see them next season again playing against each other. I believe because if they win every game, eventually they'll play against each other. So seeing both teams, I really believe that is something we will get used to. So
I think that Salah's got to break one of the curses because obviously Sadio Mane in Senegal has Salah and Egypt's upper hand. I feel like Benzema and Real Madrid currently have the upper hand, obviously, against Liverpool. So, he does that. He's got a lot of demons to fight in the form of Benzema, Real Madrid, and Mane and Senegal. So
I remember speaking to you and saying, like, don't worry, people. Like, he will stay in the Prem. It's not like I really believe his real goal of Mo Salah is to leave the Prem as the greatest player ever, African player in the Premier League. And there's to that effect. I remember seeing a Ramsdale interview for Arsenal. He was like, "Oh, who's the most followed player?" He's like, "Oh, the Egypt fans are crazy, mate. The Egypt fans, it has to be Mo Salah. It has to be Mo Salah." So, like, just like Tottenham lean on Son with South Korea, Liverpool lean on Mo Salah for that Egyptian market too. And let's be honest, it's a huge, huge fan base. And I think it makes sense for Liverpool to stay with Mo Salah. The Ballon d'Or, that can happen. It can happen. It can. But will it? Let's wait and see. But
it's just Salah has been at the top, at least statistically speaking, in the Premier League for a while now.
5 years.
And it's like it's like how can you take it up a notch, or are you just asking him to continue to deliver 20 to 25 goals a year, with 15 to 20 assists? And if that happens, then you need another. I mean, you've already got the best fullback duo in the Premier League. You've already got one of the best center back duos in the Premier League, and you can even swap out Matip and Konate, and you've got depth as well. Yeah, you've got one of the best goalkeepers in the league, if not
world.
The best. World. So they've got those building blocks, they've got those pieces. It's just how do you get by a nearly perfect Manchester City?
It's very true. And I'll be honest with you, I see the news too about a certain player coming to Liverpool next year. And by the day, I am growing on this because I believe Liverpool can break, because they broke the bank for Darwin Núñez. And for me, I always love to lean on comments of coaches, players, because you can never fail someone that, like, he said that, he believes in that. And Klopp said in the past that you never pay 100 million for a player. So I always had that down with Darwin. Will he go bold with Darwin? So I believe Liverpool will break the bank again next summer for Jude Bellingham. Bellingham. Because if they don't break for Jude Bellingham to Liverpool, he just goes to Man City or Man United. And I really believe that for Jude Bellingham, the best project in the Prem is Liverpool. And Klopp will stay at Liverpool. I think Klopp will stay at Liverpool longer than Man City with Pep Guardiola. I think that will break sooner. Okay, so for Jude Bellingham, and I think he's really good mates with Jordan Henderson. I've seen reports on that. So, that met Fabinho, Jude Bellingham, Hendo. It'd be really good to see, I'll be honest with you. So
and I'd be absolutely shocked if Jude Bellingham is not back in the Premier League, in the next 1 or 2 seasons, let alone for Liverpool. But it will definitely be a massive battle for his signature.
I really believe.
Just unreal. It's hard. It's literally hard to believe the trajectory of his career in general. Watching him play for the first time I think as a 15-year-old. For Birmingham City and then make his way over to Dortmund. Just unbelievable. And his brother's doing it behind him, Joe. So, but ultimately, man, I mean, I don't know if you have anything else with Salah, but I did want to mention.
I'd say the last thing, too, is like, who would get Salah, right? Barca don't have money. He said...
PSG.
Okay.
You
shut me up there, PSG.
There were some dominoes that had to fall, right? Like Mbappe had to go to Real Madrid to make room for Salah or something,
I don't know if Luis comes through, but I like that shout. Oh, you shut me up there. You shut me because Real Madrid was the club that I was gonna say like Real don't want Salah. Considering all that tension in the past, I don't think the locker room would. Yeah, there's a lot of tension between Salah and the whole locker room too. And this is like a story of Rodrigo in a Portuguese podcast saying that Modric leaving the pitch just banted to Salah, say, "Então, what happened? Where's your revenge?" So like players, So I really believe Salah has this huge thing building up, man. No World Cup. Salah has World Cup. Like Egypt, no World Cup. I fully believe Mo Salah will go extremely bold next season, man. Extremely bold. And that's why you gotta lock him in. 3 years. And don't you think no World Cup actually helped for like Klopp being like, oh, this is even better deal than I think, because everybody will be in the World Cup and Salah will be getting a rest.
Salah will be there. Yeah. He will be ready to prove himself, I guess, because he's got no bigger level to go.
Yeah.
But you know what they always say? They always say? If you can't beat them, join them. So I wouldn't throw Real Madrid out, just yet in terms of a future suitor for Salah. But the fact of the matter is
he's going to stay at Liverpool. He's going to stay.
I mean, this is
3 years.
This is for what? 2020.
3 years.
5?
Yes. 3 years. We're definitely going to see Mo Salah with Klopp. And I think it's gonna be extremely good. But I don't believe, as I said, Ballon d'Or if Champions League happen. But it's highly unlikely. But again, it's just a midfielder, man. A midfielder for me is the priority at Liverpool. But Milner, he's staying another season, so it's like,
you got another year. I don't know. Maybe he's hoping a Curtis Jones. Maybe he's hoping a Harvey Elliott can come do. Maybe he's hoping. Who's
Harvey Elliott? I like. Fabio
Carvalho
Carvalho that just came in, but like
Fabio Carvalho.
Curtis Jones. There is hope definitely in the academy with Liverpool. So a lot can happen from there. But this name I just want to shout just so I don't forget. Lisandro Martinez, Bretson. Is this man? That's a player that for me, every top team in the Prem must be on top, and they are as it seems. But again, 50 million, 40 million plus 10 for Lisandro Martinez. My days, man. I think if Arsenal would be the type of team to pay for it. So just watch out, people. Great player, can play CDM, can play center back, very good. And yeah, that's why I really believe Arsenal would be the best fit because of the options.
They might be the best fit. But if United is taking a page out of the if Manchester United is taking a page out of the Tottenham's Richarlison offensive in terms of getting him before United can actually prepare a bid.
True.
Ten Hag knows Lisandro. Ten Hag could go out and grab him as a center back that they absolutely need moving forward. So I would watch United in this space because we've seen that pretty much the only names out there being tied to United are names that have a history, a very recent history with Ten Hag. So yeah, I don't know, but Lisandro Martinez, he's great, but is he? I don't know. I don't know how he would transition.
Strong, mobile. Is he one of the best available outside of the Prem? He is, and that's why I feel like everybody's going just bonkers on him. But it's like, and leaning on what he knows the player. Another player that I mentioned fast, Dembele Chelsea, Tuchel. Tuchel knows Dembele, and that's why if that deal happens, I believe it's because Tuchel wants more than Mr. Todd Boehly Dembele. Because let's be honest, look at the stats: 49 games, 10 goals, and 21 assists at Dortmund under Thomas Tuchel, Ousmane Dembele, and he leaves La Liga the top in assists too. So it's like, come on, it would be the best deal. It would be the best deal.
It's true, but I doubt the first big move that you make, or one of the first big moves, aside from jettisoning Lukaku, out of the Premier League altogether, is to bring in a guy that has probably played less games than, definitely played less games than have been, maybe 50% of the games that are available to him since he's been at Barcelona. You really want to put your money on that right now, no matter how effective he is?
It's the talent, Breton, man. It's the talent.
It is the talent.
And it's no transfer fee. There's no transfer fee too. So it's
I get that.
But I agree that there has to be some demons that you have to feel like, okay, the pros and cons. The investment can go down the drain with Dembele. But it can be a top 10 Ballon d'Or player too. So it's like roulette with Dembele. But you control the variables. So I believe that Tuchel with Dembele, it can make something happen. And I just want to say this fast too. I cannot stop seeing the news about Haaland this, Haaland that. Man, I just want to see Haaland playing in the Premier League. And I'll be honest, it's low-key underrated how fast Man City did the Haaland deal. Because if Haaland would still be available, the news would be all about Haaland.
Absolutely.
All about Haaland. And we still see news for him to go to Real Madrid in 2 years' time, even when he signs for Man City this summer. So imagine if he still hadn't decided to go to Man City. The news would be just early Haaland.
Yeah, they get to sit back and watch this insanity unfold while everyone struggles to find their transfer targets or to justify their transfer targets. But yeah, Man City doesn't have too much that they absolutely have to do. And they've also got Julian Alvarez coming in July 8th, and he's going to be ready to hit the ground running. So
Stefan Ortega was a really good snatch they did too, low key. I saw those comments, people, and it's Fox from the Bundesliga. I was like, whoa, they see. Man City do scouting. Man City do scouting. If you're a top club, a middle team, a low team, whatever team you are, you got to scout. And you got to find replacements. Man City do that. Elite
and I got to admit it. My guess is that them going after Ortega probably came directly after Zach Steffen went in and said, if I'm going to have a shot at being the number one for the U.S. men's national team at the World Cup, I need to actually play. Right? At least I hope.
Give Gaga.
That's what happened.
Gaga
first,
Stolina.
Right?
Gaga.
Yeah, no.
Yes,
no.
Gaga.
He beat my hometown team the other day. And,
what a save!
Made some good saves. But ultimately, no. Zach Steffen is probably going to go to the championship on loan, probably to Middlesbrough. So hey, I just want him to play. And if he's going to play every day at Middlesbrough, fine. Do I think he's too good for the championship? Yes, I do. But hey, I'm also biased. But listen, I do. While we're on the championship, and they're not even in the championship anymore, but we were talking about Liverpool before. We were talking about, some of the young guys that could potentially step up this year and maybe fill a gap so that they don't have to go sign, right? And bring somebody in. But we do have to give a quick shout out to Kate. You've got Derby County, okay, finally getting their takeover complete, okay, which means that they are going to be exiting administration. Now they are in League One. They're in League One. They no longer have Wayne Rooney. They no longer have literally like 3/4 of their academy.
Big respect to Rooney. Paid the 1 month.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think it was technically illegal what he did, but ultimately he still did it out of the kindness of his own heart. But I do have to say, Derby County deserves a pat on the back for still somehow influencing these little gems that have come out of their academy, right? That now will ply their trade in the Premier League until Derby County gets back on their feet again. Luke Plange and Malcolm Ebiowei, right? Malcolm Ebiowei was wanted by a lot of Premier League clubs. Both of them have landed with Patrick Vieira at Crystal Palace. Okay. Then you have Festi Ebosele, fullback, who's landed with Udinese. And you've got Cade Gordon, who Liverpool poached last year. And all I can say is that for a club that was in financial turmoil, to be able to deliver those 4 prospects to various, first-tier clubs, that's very impressive. So all I can say is that this is a new start for the Rams. I hope we start to see Derby County on the rise again, and that they don't turn into a Sunderland that, remains mired in League One for 7-8 years, although Sunderland's back in the championship. Anyway, had to bring that out there because that takeover is a big deal. You
said championship, and I all of a sudden had something. I gotta say this. Like, the championship winners went bowled the right way with Mark Silva, and they went to snatch. That for me is shocking. It's shocking that this man went to Fulham. Okay, João Palhinha. Does he have the talent to play in a much better team? Yes. Will he have an important role for Fulham? Yes. So will he receive more money than he gets at Sporting? Yes. So I feel like that was the decider too. And living in London with a coach he knows, Mark Silva, I think for Palhinha, I'm not going to say the best choice, but it's a good choice. People can understand that choice, I'd say. So I believe Wolves would have been a better option, and that Palhinha would have better clubs too into him. But I really believe he likes the coach Mark Silva, and that's why he picked Fulham and playing in the world's biggest stage, the Premier League too. So, but I don't feel like that's the best thing for him to do, to play in Portugal. For Portugal, that is not the best thing to do. If you see Vitinha, Fabio Vieira going to Arsenal, PSG, Palhinha going Fulham, you know what I mean?
It's a little different. It's a little different. Yeah. As much as I've been to Craven Cottage. I mean, playing there, you get the small town feel while it's literally right in London.
Big respect.
But also like there's history to it. But here's the thing, Fulham, perennially up and down, right? And they need to stop that, right? They were at their best when they had Clint Dempsey and Brian McBride and some others. But ultimately, they're trying something different. I feel like in past seasons that they've come up from the championship, they have just gone on spending spree.
That would have been
just spend. And now to get a Palhinha, right? A guy that has the IQ, a guy that has the ability to transition right away, a guy that can fit right into Marcelo Silva's game plan, and hopefully have the desire to really make this not a relegation fodder year for Fulham. It is a different, and I don't know if it's going to pay off, but it is a different transfer policy than what they've done in the past, right? So here's hoping that Fulham gets it different this time and they actually remain up, but they are not doing what Nottingham Forest is doing. And Nottingham Forest is like, hey, we haven't been here in a while, we're going to spend, and they went out and they got former Liverpool player Taiwo Awoniyi, who was great for Union Berlin last year. They spent 20 million on a guy that's really only had one great year, okay? And they've also brought in Dean Henderson, which is a phenomenal move.
True.
at goalkeeper.
It's like,
so.
but when is he gonna stop with those loans? When will he
Well,
get the credit? I believe, like, he really believes he will play for Man United. He wants
I don't know.
after they get.
Which one is it? Is it United holding him hostage and saying we don't want to let go of him,
Man,
or is it him not pushing hard enough? Is he just like a company boy and says, "Hey, you guys believe in me, just send me out on loan again"? But I'm 100% with you.
But
if he ever wants to take Jordan Pickford's job, right?
Yeah,
he's got to play game in, game out, and he's got to do it probably at a level higher than Nottingham Forest, but who knows?
Nick Pope at Newcastle might impress even more. And Ramsdale. Ramsdale. I put Ramsdale ahead, I'll be honest. From what I've seen. I'd
agree.
Just ending with Palhinha. It's Palhinha, Fulham. But it's low-key how good a CDM is needed, you need in the Prem. I feel like United was this bad because they didn't have anyone at the sixth role. And a team that for me is the perfect example of if you got a six, you will be good. And always there is Douglas Luiz at Aston Villa. Nobody talks about this player, but if Douglas Luiz wasn't there, they would surely get Palhinha, okay? But there's a Douglas Luiz, underrated, man. If Calvin Phillips hadn't gone to Leeds, it would have been Douglas Luiz, the second player in the Prem, to go, in my opinion, to City. He must have been a target too. So that is, I feel like Fulham getting that locked is the right way to start. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. So I was just surprised by it. So put down below transfers, people, that we haven't mentioned, okay? In the Premier League. Just go bold with them. And do you agree with us about Palhinha? And I gotta talk here about some transfers. You like Xavi Simons, right? PSV. Yeah. I saw some hate on that. How dare you hate on a player that wants to play first team football and show his best qualities, man. Xavi Simons, man. I love that move to PSV. Personally, I loved it. And staying in that, going to Netherlands, his home. Beautiful, beautiful. Just not the place that we were assuming he'd go if he went back to Netherlands.
No. I mean, this is a guy. He's been puffed up by years and years of social media.
True.
Right? Years and years of people throwing his highlights out there, throwing his Instagram profile out there, all that good stuff. Okay, we are now finally going to see, is Xavi Simons good enough?
That's
right.
True.
He's 19 years old now. We are now finally going to see it. And frankly, at PSG. We obviously know that they do a pretty crap job of bringing and grooming and bringing their players in. And I only hope the best for the guys that have stayed there, like El Shaddai and Edouard Michoud and Warren Zaire-Emery. I mean, they have great names in there that should find their way up or out ASAP. So Xavi Simons, it makes sense because he's not 14 anymore. He's not 16 anymore. This kid's 19 and he needs to be playing. I only have a question. Is he good enough? Is he good enough for PSV Eindhoven? Because nothing in his CV tells me he is, except for some great performances in the UEFA Youth League. You want to know a better place for him?
Yep.
You want to know a better place for him? Red Bull Salzburg.
For Xavi Simons.
Xavi Simons to go to Red Bull Salzburg, take over Aronson's spot, take over whoever's spot, and lead a team that has Champions League football and has the ability to make it into the knockouts with young bucks around him, around the same age. Sesko up top. You've got in the wings Roko Simic. You've got Capaldo. You've got some really good players like Susic. I feel like that would have been a better play than to go to PSV, where I think if he has a string of bad form,
true.
He's gone. He'll get replaced. He'll get benched.
It's true. And another doubt for me too is the position. And what position will Xavi Simons play? Would it be midfield? Will it be striker? Because let's be honest, I've been liking him in that role, forwards. He does make the right choices. Okay, not finishing. Okay, being a midfielder previously, he's always gonna have those eyebrows, but creating goals, I like him there. So PSV with Savinho, something can happen there. So let's wait and see. New coach too. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful on him.
Yeah.
So
well, you like, it remains to be seen, and I obviously hope the best for him and want to see him ball out. But you did just mention one. You just casually dropped City Football Group. City Football Group obviously isn't necessarily Manchester City per se, but City Football Group has made 2 ridiculous acquisitions in the last couple weeks, not even in the last couple of days. Okay, and the first one you mentioned was Savinho. I believe it's Savio Moreira or something like that. He comes over for what, $6.5 million with the potential of $6.5 million more in add-ons. He is going to Troy, which is owned by City Football Group, and then will reportedly, Fabrizio Romano has said he will move to PSV Eindhoven on loan. Now, phenomenal talent. That's actually not the biggest acquisition, but he is one you're going to want to watch. Okay, the bigger acquisition is that. Do you remember the days of Paulo Dybala and Edinson Cavani
at
Palermo? Yeah, City Football Group has bought for only $13 million, 13 million euros. Sorry, they just bought Palermo, and they will be a City Football Group team, and they are back in Serie B for the first time in several years.
Palermo has 13 million. That is cheap considering how much
it is.
People are spending on Prem teams, and Serie A was once the best league in the world. So if all the chips one day sort out, you never know. What an investment! 13 million.
It's bigger than any player, and they do not whoever. Like, we know who runs the show at City Football Group. We know who backs them with the finances. City Football Group is run incredibly effectively, and they have scouted these teams for years and years and years.
I wanted to ask you on this, like Brazil. We were mentioning Brazilian talents that leave Brasileirão and try to hope a better life, and it's like MLS. What's happening there? Brenner went bold. You're mentioning City Football Group. And I absolutely love Talsmagnu. You know I'm a huge fan of this winger. He's been doing bits too, right? Lately?
He absolutely has. He is a handful. He is like, you look at him and I love him, man. When I used to watch him when he was in Brazil, I don't remember him being as big as he is. He is a physical specimen on that field. I watched him play live the other day against the Union. We ended up winning, but Magno was a handful the whole game, and he is tough. So yeah, City Football Group they know what they're doing, and they're making money off the players that they're not. They just sold Ko Itakura to Gladbach or something for 6 million euros. I didn't even know he was still under contract with City Football Group.
Keaton Parks too, even. They snatched him up from Benfica early, and now he's happy there. He's just happy there. Yeah. So it's like, well, Talsmagnu, though, I was shook at that time when they got him. And I just wanted to mention fast him, man. Under 17 World Cup. I remember Zito with Angola. Talsmagnu, he was the star, man. What a great team.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we'll see. But Palermo, I am ready. Palermo, if you're listening, I am ready for my pink jersey to be delivered because I cannot wait to wear it. And I'm excited to see them. I think they had to fight their way back after financial penalties and insanity that generally ensues with some of these clubs that spend into oblivion. But they had to fight their way back up from Serie D all the way to Serie B. So they're in Serie B now. Now they've got City Football Group backing. It's going to be interesting to watch that team get built. But yeah, I still remember Dybala playing there. I remember Cavani. Like, that was both of them. It was after they had made their move.
Dybala Wonderkid.
Over to Europe. Yep. And that's where they made their first mark. And then Dybala obviously went to Juventus after that. And he's still got a decision to make too. But staying in Serie A or Serie B or Italy.
Yes.
There is one club there. Okay. We can talk about Inter making all of their shrewd signings. Okay. Bringing Lukaku back on loan. All right. Lukaku is all of a sudden okay with an Antonio Conte-less Inter Milan, all right?
Exactly.
But you've got him. You've got Andre Onana coming in on free. You've got Mkhitaryan coming in on free. You've got Christian Aslani, who is a very underrated DM in Serie A, coming in for, I believe, only like 10 million or something. Inter is doing bits. There is no doubt about it. But they have not made the signing of the Serie A window so far. That is AC Milan. And believe it or not, it's not Divock Origi.
Not a transfer.
And it's not a transfer. It is getting Paolo Maldini to commit to the future, to the project, and to what Milan can bring after the Scudetto. I think that's more important than any signing that they wind up doing. But I do hope they sign some players. They got to sign some players. But having Paolo Maldini there is a big deal. And I believe, I forget the name of the other individual, Massara or whoever it was that was kind of his right-hand man. Just as important, they got him to commit as well. So we'll see. AC Milan might be here to stay. I'm here for it. But Serie A was one of the best fights for the Scudetto last year. I think we're going to see it for the future too, and I'm here for Serie A.
And for Milan too, like for the fans, like come on, safety. It gives safety because the decisions at the club, he reduced the salary at the club 40%, and they win a Scudetto while he's doing that. Maldini at AC Milan. So getting that renewal, they should have done that earlier. That shouldn't have been done in the transfer window. Like, you know what I mean? So maybe that's why Milan haven't signed anyone. Milan haven't signed Sven Botman. Gnat Sench, we were really hopeful. Like the takeover, man. But we all know Gnat now. Gnat's available. I might as well get him.
I might as well get him.
But I really believe Milan will do bits this window, just like they always do. Origi, sorry. They got Origi. They got
Origi, but here's the thing: is they can afford to be calculated, right? Because they aren't losing many pieces, and some of the pieces that they brought in grew into the role. Like Pierre Kalulu was a throwaway from Lyon's academy.
Teo throwaway. And
taken up a notch, man. Teo is literally one of the best fullbacks in the world.
Tomori.
Like, turning trash into gold. And I'm not calling Tomori trash. No. He was treated like trash, and now he's gold. Yeah. So it is great to see. So I think they can afford to be calculated. But you're right. I mean, if you really wanted Sven Botman, was getting Maldini's signature, did that have to come before they could really go after Sven Botman? Or are they so happy with Tomori Kalulu's progress that they don't need to go after Botman? But they do need a striker.
And I do think Maldini obviously would be working for free for Milan if he want, not if he wanted, he would want that. Okay, he just would. It's just fair for him, for the importance he had and the role he had for the Scudetto, to make that happen. Okay, so it's like, I gotta say, Maldini, great. That was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So
great
with the transfers, I just wanted to say Moukoko. Moukoko still hasn't moved, man. Are we going to see him move? Are we going to see Moukoko leave Dortmund? Adeyemi, Haller. Come on. If it was like, okay, I can still play with Karim Adeyemi. Haller? Like, now what? Malin? Like, Moukoko has to go.
My guess, and to be honest, if he does go, at the very least, if he can't find a home or vet a home up for him, Red Bull Salzburg. That's my answer for everything. Come on. No, Moukoko should go he should do the Ansgar Knauf route.
Okay, I like that.
He should go to a mid-table team that obviously did some wonderful things last year, whether it's Frankfurt, whether it's Stuttgart, whether it's one of the teams that have come up. Man, he'd be perfect. Hey, HSV, if you've got the money, Hamburg, if you've got the money to throw at Moukoko on loan, and you really want to get back over the hump and get back to the Bundesliga, find a way to bring him in the door. Bring him in the door to help you out.
I like that.
He just needs to play. He needs to play every day.
But don't you think another league would be good for him? Like,
I don't know, because he's lived his life in Germany, Cameroonian to Germany. I don't know. I mean, you take him out of a fish out of water.
And it's true. And the expectations he had on his own career, and with Dortmund too, Haaland was saying that this is the best 15-year-old he's ever seen play football. So, and Moukoko, let's be honest too, he has showed efficiency when he plays. He scores goals when he comes on. So, like, for any other team, I love Leverkusen, honestly, but I saw them getting Adam Holzek, so I'm not really on that. And Kunku getting that renewal with Leipzig. You know, I did believe that Leipzig would have been a good club too for Moukoko. So put down below, people. Where do you think Youssoufa Moukoko should go? And do you have any last mentions here, Breton?
Well, the last thing I want to mention, I got to give this guy credit. If you don't follow on Twitter, Zach Lowy, go do it. Run, do it because he's very good. He's very good at talking about Portuguese football. He's very good at talking about Serie A. And these are leagues that haven't necessarily, aside from obviously my constant talking with you, I haven't been able to watch as much of as I would like. Anyway, long story short, he brought up a graphic from AS.com. I believe that's a Spanish publication. And it shows the best transfer surplus. So net profit, okay, over the last 20 years. And I just got to ask you, if you had to throw out a guess as to who the number one club would be in Europe.
Benfica.
I'm sorry, in the world.
Benfica.
Who do you think it is?
Benfica.
Oh, man, you said that before I even finished the question.
Benfica Academy is elite. It's elite.
Absolutely. And just in the last 3 seasons, okay, it's a net balance, okay, a net profit of about 667 million euros over the last 20 years. Okay, so you're talking about 30 to 35 million a year that they make in net transfer profit, which obviously it seems like goes back into their academy because they don't have the issues I hear that Porto has these days.
Well, but it's a bigger brand,
right?
Benfica is a bigger brand than Porto.
So yeah, but in just the last 3 seasons,
it's true.
João Felix is a big part of that. It costs very little, 127. Darwin was like their smallest net profit, I guess you could say, because it cost them what, like 25, 30.
Benfica got 51 million from Darwin. Net.
Okay, from Darwin. Net. Ruben Diaz, 70 million out the door. Raul, even Jimenez to Wolves.
And just like what you said, the 3 most expensive transfers ever leaving Primeira Liga. Those 3 Benfica.
That's huge.
But who's like second? Benfica's first? I'm sure Porto must be there. No? Porto must be there.
You're right.
Porto must be
number
there.
2.
Oh! What? No. You mean no. What?
Now you see why I brought this up.
I love this.
Porto, and this is where like you and I have been talking about. You've been telling me because I've been asking like, why are they letting Fabio Vieira go? It's good money, but why are they letting him go? Why are they letting Vitinha go at the same time?
Yes.
And you're saying that they have a little hole in their balance sheet.
Yeah.
So I just have to understand they have a net transfer balance over the last 20 years of about 650 million euros. They're not that far behind Benfica, okay? And yet there's an ongoing issue with their finances, and in that same three-year window that we were focusing on with Benfica, they've gotten rid of Militao for 50, Diaz for 47, Vitinha for 42, Fabio Silva for 40, Fabio Vieira for 35. These aren't net, but they've got this not 127 number like with João Felix, but they've gotten this like quality. I mean, let's be honest, they did absolute bits getting rid of Mangala when they did back in the day, right?
Fuck.
But where is this money going?
But there was
Where's
a
it going
super
for
team.
Porto?
That is like the best team I've ever seen play in Portugal was a Porto team with Fernando, with João Moutinho, with Rames, Falcão, Hulk, and literally Breton. I believe if Hulk had left Porto in today's day and age, Hulk would have left not for 40 million, 100 minimal if Felix left 120 Benfica. Because Hulk was special at the time. So I really believe that Porto and Benfica relied heavily early, like 10 years ago, on scouting. You had players like Gaetan, Nico Gaetan, Di Maria developed too at Benfica. So there was, at that time, you didn't have the scouting of a City group getting Julian Alvarez. And a Julian Alvarez would have first landed in the Primeira Liga, just like Lisandro Lopez did in the past. So Enzo Fernandes, great deal going to Benfica. He'll be sold 4 or 5 times, but now we have to change the strats. And now we lean heavily on academy football. And if you go to Seychelles, that is elite development, okay? Seychelles, in terms of infrastructure, is much better than an academy like United. I gotta say that. Okay? And it's because the prime focus of Benfica is to develop and to win titles. So I like it. I love how you say, I didn't know this, man. And then I'm like, but there was a huge space. It was a huge space. Yeah. I was mentioning the best team ever because there was a huge space from there to now. There was Eder Militão, true, but there was not the same success. Okay, and that's
yeah,
why.
only recently. Right, only recently.
And Luis Diaz, 45 million for Luis Diaz.
Yeah.
Okay, 60 with 50 million added on. You should get 60 million immediately with Luis Diaz.
Yeah.
So you can say that Porto doesn't do deals like Benfica does nowadays. So, and I believe it's because it's a bigger brand. Benfica, I feel, it's just bigger.
But it is just interesting to me because Porto has odd finances, like you've said, but then behind Porto you have Ajax, not surprising.
Okay.
And you have Lille. Lille is fourth over the last 20 years. Okay, and that is Luis. But with a transfer balance of 414 million euros over the last 20 years, this is also a team that is perpetually and almost permanently in financial disarray.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So, and Luis Campos is gone, and we know where he is now. He's at PSG, and he's about to welcome Christophe Galtier into the mix, like we called for a couple months now. But you just got to wonder, okay, Benfica seems to have a better handle of it, but Porto, Lille, what's going on?
I like Lille.
Luis Campos.
Luis Campos. And Botman and Gnat, they will leave too, so the finance will keep on going up. Jeez.
I mean, Osimhen, Pepe. I mean, they have said goodbye to some phenomenal players after very little time.
Forgot Pepe.
And I think Timothy Weah is probably going to leave too.
I like
over
that.
time, and they just got rid of Botman, like you mentioned. So anyway, I just had to bring that up. If in case you're wondering, the first non-European team is actually River.
It makes sense.
So
it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and it makes sense that I was saying River, Enzo, Julian, and Gallardo has a huge say on that. Marcelo Gallardo, he's the man who's cooking. I compare Gallardo with Simeone at Atletico, but I just feel like Gallardo's style of play I prefer. Personally.
I mean, they're fun to watch. They're fun to watch, and they've got players behind. They've got players behind Enzo. They've got players behind Julian Alvarez. Santiago Simon is another player that you're going to want to watch in the near future.
Write out the name. Write out the name.
But I was a little surprised that River was there previous to, say, a Boca or a Santos or a Botafogo or any of those Brazilian teams that are essentially net sellers when it all comes down to it. But
it's just hard, man, and it's the currency too. Like reais, it's hard.
True.
I know. There's a bunch of talk always about the currency here in Portugal when we get players from there. So it's like, poof, Usplinia, he went back to Brasileiro from 13 million. So I was surprised. But the Brazilian market is growing. It's growing because come on, the elite fans, man, Brazil, love it. So do you have any last mentions here?
Yeah, I mean, now that Vinicius and Rodrigo are making good at Real Madrid, it's going to pick up again. But no, last mention, just going to throw it out there. We all know, we always joke about Jesse Lingard being the eternal wonder kid, but there is an actual eternal wonder kid that's out there and almost still of age. And it's Emre Mor. Emre Mor. Remember him when he came he was one of the first out of the gates at FC Nordjylland.
Yes.
Made the move. We all thought he was going to be great. Little diminutive speedster on the wing. Went to Dortmund. Went to Celta. Thought he'd pick up his feet there.
Went to Rap.
Really happened.
Went to Rap.
Yeah, and literally went everywhere and spent his year, I think, last year with like a team I can't even pronounce.
Did he go to Celta Vigo? Yeah. Celta Vigo.
He was at Celta. Yeah, he went to Celta Vigo when they were on a big buy-in spree for a while. And now he's in the Super League. But I was surprised at who he signed with. He signed with Fenerbahçe. Okay.
Come to Fenerbahçe.
He's making an ascendancy back into, I guess you can say, relevancy. He had an okay year last year, but listen. If there's one thing that we all want to see, it's like a redemption story, right? We want to see this. And if Emre Mor can do it in the Turkish Super League, by all means, get it done. Get it done, and I want to see it, and I'm rooting for it. And, hey, when I see Arda Güler or even Ozil send Emre Mor through for his first Super League goal in a Fenerbahçe shirt, I'm going to even if I'm not a fan per se, I am going to applaud it and I'm going to be very excited about it. So I just wanted to bring that up there because that was a name that just like, boom, hit me in the face.
And I'll be honest with you, Bretson. Like, I'm rooting for Fenerbahçe next season, okay? George Jesus will go bold, and Fenerbahçe fans, I can assure you, a ton of transfers are gonna come in because if George Jesus is coaching your team, he comes with the assurity that transfers will come in. And Emre Mor, pá. I just hope he plays Arda Güler. Jorge Jesus, pá. Bora, JJ. I love this.
Yeah, you're worried about that. I was a little, you got me sad for a second. You said you don't feel like he's going to give you a shot.
I feel like he'll give hierarchy, he'll give Ozil a proper shot first. But I believe he'll play Arda Güler. Like with Reinier Jesus at Flamengo, I think he was good, Jorge Jesus, and I saw improvement from that. But it's always that doubt. He prefers experience to youth. A bit like Ancelotti. He has improved with Real, those things, but like he still goes with the assurances that he has, as some coach must do. So
the last transfer I've got is Isaac Torre. Not because he's 6'8", and I don't know how to put that in 1 meter or whatever that is. But 6'8" is massive. Okay, it's as big as a basketball player. Power
it's 2
forward.
meters.
Okay,
2 meters.
And he's a center back, young center back, 19 years old that went from Le Havre to Marseille. Why is this important? He's fun to watch, but why is this important? It tells me that Marseille has given up on trying to get William Saliba back. Okay. So that means that it likely is, as we probably already know, but if you need confirmation, William Saliba is staying in an Arsenal shirt. Okay?
I agree.
Or he's going to be loaned out elsewhere, but probably not. But Marseille getting this center back, they're planning for a future without being able to coax William Saliba back. And I hope that gives some Arsenal fans out there a feeling of hope that he can hit the ground running at Arsenal. But Arsenal also finally ended their chapter with Guendouzi.
Yeah, that's
Guendouzi is now a Marseille player.
And
they're doing this.
They're
doing this. Yeah, and they're doing this without. They got rid of Jorge Sampaoli. I mean, he's gone. He's gone. So they're doing this without any manager at Marseille. But there's some word out there that it's Marcelo Bielsa wants a second go at Marseille. And I'm just saying, Marcelo Bielsa team. Fighting a Christophe Galtier PSG.
You need to go bold somehow.
Somehow. A little interesting. But otherwise PSG is going to win like 25 leagues in a row.
But what do you think? If Galtier goes to PSG, it just makes life much harder for any team in Ligue 1. And yes, people, if we missed something, please put down below here. Episode 62. We went bold with these transfers. And yes, don't forget to like this video on YouTube and follow FC Wonderkid on Spotify, people. Do not forget that. Go bold, people. And thank you for listening to another episode here with my guy, Bretson. And we go bold, and you went bold by listening. Thank you, people.